How's it going, everybody? Welcome to the debut episode of Rock Talk. I know it's a bit of a cheesy name here, but we're basically going to be doing a new series here. I'm going to throw it up on my YouTube and also on SamPeopleWho.com. We're going to have a new series where each week, preferably on Fridays, it might vary depending on NFL Game Pass and everything like that. They were a little bit crappy this week, but I don't want to get into that. But we're going to have a new series here where we focus on the play of cornerback Rock Ya-Sin for the Colts and kind of see how his play varies from week to week. Because, we saw last year, the first 4 or 5 games, it was kind of a bit of a struggle. And then he got even worse against that Denver game. I think in week 8 was kind of his low point of the season. And then after that, we saw a completely different player where he became a pretty solid corner for the Colts down the stretch. And, this year I kind of want to chronicle his play throughout the season. Each Friday, we're just going to go through every single game, the clips from every game. Some games it'll be, like a 4 or 5 minute video that I'm cutting up here. Hopefully not, or hopefully it's a good thing. Maybe it's a bunch of picks, but some games will be like this one where it's only 5 plays and it's only 57 seconds. And we're kind of go through the couple plays that he was involved in. But, overall, it wasn't a really productive game for Rock in this first one. But I do think he had overall pretty solid performance. I think the secondary had a lot of struggles overall, just a lot of miscommunications and misreads by a couple guys. But Ya-Sin, I think, played really well. I don't think that he really had any mistakes in the back end. There was a couple, again, just miscommunications that he was involved in with some other players. But I think that we saw some good things that we saw from last year, his tackling ability, his physicality. And then there were some other good things that I think he really developed with his route recognition going to this game. But we're going to start it off right here. We're going to look at this first clip here. He's on the outside. Here, I can even circle him, I believe. I'm still trying to get used to some of this drawing crap and stuff like that on Zoom here. But we're going to circle him. There we go. Rock Ya-Sin's right there on the outside against Laviska Shenault, the rookie receiver, who actually had a really good game against the Colts. But here's Rock Ya-Sin, and he's going to be bailing out, I believe, bailing out the snap. And he's just going to come up and make a really nice tackle and run defense. I think this was on 3rd down. And unfortunately, Khari Willis would luckily have been there to make that tackle, hopefully for a loss. This is a great block by Shenault on the outside. But from Ya-Sin, we just see a really nice tackle here on the outside. Nothing special. You see that kind of wrestling background that we always talk about with him. And it's just a really good wrap-up right here. He's coming up. He breaks down his momentum, stops, and makes a really, really nice tackle. So that's something you're always going to get with Rock Ya-Sin. Never really going to have to worry about him in that department when it comes to tackling. I think he did miss 1 tackle in this game in the open field, which I don't think I cut into this because it was kind of, just a basic kind of play. But besides that, overall, last year he was one of the best corners in the league in run stop percentage. I think he missed only like 2 tackles on the season. So just a really, really good run defender and tackler. And we're going to see that again on this play here. He's in bail coverage right here. He bails out, watches this guy, comes up on Shenault, and makes a really, really nice tackle underneath. So, again, just a really, really solid tackler from Rock Ya-Sin. We're never really going to have to have an issue with that right here. But these last 3 plays, we're going to look at a couple plays in coverage and really break down what's going on. So the Jaguars here have a tight end kind of in that sniffer role. They have their guys up top. They have Shenault coming down, motioning down to this side of the field. And that's big because you see Kenny Moore kind of come with him in motion, which basically tells the offense and also tells me as someone who's watching this that the Colts are likely running man. It looks like they're bringing Malik Hooker on a blitz. They're coming across with Kenny Moore to play that man coverage. And this is going to be straight up man across the board. And you can even tell by the way their eyes are off the snap. Xavier Rhodes is watching his guy. Rock Ya-Sin's watching his guy. Khari's getting into that single high safety look. So this looks like it's just a basic man play. And the one thing I really want to look at here is it does look like Kenny loses his guy. For whatever reason, he stops in this zone here. I believe, the play action throws him off, and he sits right here. And I think he thinks that Laviska Shenault's going to sit out in the flat. Instead, Shenault keeps climbing on the wheel route instead of sitting in the flat here. So Kenny loses his guy. And the one thing I really want to look at with Rock Ya-Sin is his route recognition. He's a little bit slow, obviously, to recognize this because he is focusing on that man coverage. But I do really, really like his ability to flip his hips here. Notice what's coming, and there's an open receiver, and notice that he has that help over the top with with Kari Willis. So he knows he can come off his man and try to work back to the open receiver and try to prevent a big play. And, he's about half a second away from, coming off his guy and making a good play in coverage. He does actually hit the receiver as the ball comes. Shoutout makes a nice catch and actually runs through Rock's contact there. But I really do like the route recognition just overall here by Rock Ya-Sin. He's in that man coverage. He does his job. He carries this guy, doesn't get beat off the line, opens up his hips, stays on it, and then comes back outside and nearly makes a nice play. So I think that's actually a positive play for a guy like Rock Ya-Sin. I don't think that's a negative play whatsoever, even though, just watching the game, you think that Rock got beat to the outside there or something like that. That's not at all what I saw in that play. I think that was just a really good play by Rock Ya-Sin. Just a half a second late on recognizing the route and almost covered for just a blown coverage by what looks like by Kenny Moore there in the slot. Getting to this next one, this is actually press man down here. So again, Rock's going to be at the bottom of the screen. I think that's against DJ Chark. And this is kind of, I guess, a negative play here for Rock. He actually gets beat by Chark off the line. And then we're going to look at this here because this is in press man. So you can see them lined up in press man up top of the screen in the middle here. Press man all across the board. And one thing I've noticed with the Colts and kind of what they coach their cornerbacks is something that I really personally don't like, is they don't really teach them to use their hands off the line. So look at the first step by all the corners here. They're not going to use their hands off the line of scrimmage, which kind of irks me a little bit. So you can see here, Kenny kind of uses his hands in the slot, but you really don't see anybody using their hands. The slot guy's kind of a little bit, but the outside corners, Xavier Rhodes up here. I think that's Xavier Rhodes up there. Xavier Rhodes and then Rock Ya-Sin down here. Neither of them are really using their hands to disrupt the timing off the line of scrimmage. And that's kind of always just something that's always irked me as a big cornerback guy. I personally, when it comes to press man, I'm more of the step kick type of guy, where you're going to be patient in this stance right here. You're not going to step back. You're not going to try to mirror the guy. You're going to be patient, and you're going to dictate the play with your hands and with your feet. That's a big part of what I believe as a press man guy. But, the mirror technique is another way to do it, and that's kind of how the Colts seem to teach it. But right here with Rock Ya-Sin, he gets a little bit of depth, which again I don't really like with press man coverage, and he kind of opens up the gates inside. That's kind of what they call it here. It's kind of swinging open the gate. I think he does have good position here. He is trying to force Chark to the sideline, but he's just not. I feel like he should be more right in here. If he's more like right here, he makes Chark have to kind of loop his slant route, and it's more of a difficult route for him to run. You got to trust that safety over top. I'm not going to say, obviously you don't want to sit right here and try to play back shoulder and trust that safety that much, but you can still stay over top this receiver while taking away that slant. And that's what Rock doesn't really do here. He doesn't take away that slant while also staying on top. He's respecting the speed of Chark a little too much, and he's staying on top of him just a little bit too much for my liking here. And that's what allows Chark to get inside for the slant win. So, overall, I don't think it's a horrible rep by Ya-Sin. I think he actually comes out of the break pretty well. If you see here, again, he does mirror well. He's staying on top of it. And then he just opens up inside, and Chark's able to beat him to the inside there. So not a horrible loss by any means. It is a 12-yard gain by the offense, but I'd like to see him be a little more aggressive on the outside, even though Chark has the speed. Be more aggressive, trust your instinct, and trust your safety over top. To kind of play the slant a little bit. So again, not a horrible route by him, or not a horrible press rep by him, but I would really like to see a little more improvement with that going forward. And then going to this last one, I'm actually going to get my little annotate tool for this one because this one is a super fun play. So we're going to actually get some drawing going here. And forgive me if my drawings aren't beautiful because I'm not the best drawer. Let me throw this off to the side here. All right, so this is a super interesting play call here. This is actually, it's called cover 3 match for you guys watching. And if you don't know what cover 3 match is, it's essentially a cover 3 zone with man concepts in it. There's going to be some man concepts. Basically, you're going to have 3 guys playing their cover 3. This is going to be your cover 3 here. He's going to be up here in this cover 3. And then you're going to have Ya-Sin playing this cover 3. So these are going to be their lanes, like a typical cover 3. This guy's got this deep, this guy's got this deep, and this guy's got this deep here. And they're deep thirds. But what you do kind of in a match man coverage scheme like this is when a guy enters your zone, you kind of enter a man coverage. So Kenny's actually got kind of this seam route right here. So whatever player is running this seam is who his match is. So at first he's staying on top of Shenault because Chenault's the guy right here, and he's expecting that seam right there. But as I'll annotate for a second. As Shenault comes in motion, you'll see Yasin stays over top, which again sells the zone coverage because it is zone. It technically is a zone coverage. It's selling that zone coverage that Yasin is just staying on this side. Kenny switches back inside over the other slot receiver in Keelan Cole. And you essentially are showing a little bit of man, but it's mostly, you're telling the offense that it's zone because Moore didn't follow his guy outside here. So what you got here is you got Rock Ya-Sin on the outside, you got Kenny in the slot, you got TJ Carey down here on the bottom, and then you got your deep safety Malik Hooker. And going back to my annotate thingy here, let me clear those. And what you'll have going on this play is at the snap, we'll break it down again here. So at the snap, you have Kenny is going to be following the seam route. And essentially what he's going to be doing when this seam route happens is he's going to be handing the seam over to Rock Ya-Sin. It's actually a very good coverage to kind of throw off your quarterback and kind of get the quarterback to bite into mistakes. Because you'll see Kenny in this trail technique on the slot receiver, and the quarterback will instantly be reading, okay, that's man coverage. I can get it to my receiver. So right here, Minshew is staring down this receiver because he has a step on Kenny Moore, and it looks like he's going to be wide open. But what's actually happening here is Kenny is playing that trail technique. He's handing him off to Rock Ya-Sin, who is waiting in this deep third area to kind of pick him up in that match. So he's going to match this receiver as he comes over to his deep third, and we will play it a little bit more here. So yeah, Rock Ya-Sin then switches over and jumps underneath that and takes away that crosser route. And Minshew was going to go that way. He was going to go to that perceivably open man right there. Instead, he has to look back to DJ Chark, who's covered by TJ Carey, and the result on the play is a sack. So that's actually just an example of great scheme. But I love how Rock Ya-Sin plays this cover three match. It's a really aggressive cover three match because, you're having Kenny line up over this seam right here, expecting that seam route. And that's exactly what happens. But it's super aggressive cover three match. And Rock Ya-Sin plays it really well. He watches his guy, calls out the drag, and then switches over to his cover three match and carries that crosser across the field. So overall, these were just a couple of the plays from the game. He overall wasn't involved in too many more. Again, there was a miscommunication on a third down I could have thrown in this, and then also a missed tackle. But, he really wasn't involved in either of those plays, so I didn't want to throw them in here. But overall, I think it was a very solid game from Rock Ya-Sin. You saw the good things that we saw from last year, again, in terms of tackling, which I'm going to kind of run through it here quite again for you guys. So, yeah, we saw the good things with the tackling. Right here, he comes flying up after being in bail technique. It makes a really nice tackle on Laviska Shenault, who's not easy to tackle. He's like a 230-pound receiver, so really easy to tackle. But you also saw really good route technique and route recognition from Rock Ya-Sin. I mean, this one was just great route recognition. He was just half a second late to maybe making a play on this ball that really he shouldn't have been able to make a play on because it was man coverage and he was following his guy. This one, obviously gets beat by a really good player in DJ Chark, but I think there are good things to see here. He actually is on the hip of Chark the whole time. He's just not in the perfect position out of his break to make a play on the slant. And then again, on this play on the cover three match, we see a really good route recognition by Ya-Sin to keep his eyes on Shenault, see that he's passing him off, and then carry that crosser across the field, take away that first option, which leads to the sack of Gardner Minshew. So, yeah, overall, just a really good game from Rock Ya-Sin in week one. Obviously, you want to see some more pass breakups and interceptions and such going forward, but I think this is a very promising start for him and definitely better than how he started his rookie season where, he got beat by Keenan Allen for a touchdown and had a couple other poor miscues in that first game. I think, we are seeing that growth from Rock Ya-Sin, and I think it's only going to get better from here. So I know it's a little bit short for a first video, but he really wasn't targeted too much in this first game. The Jaguars just kind of went short with everything. But, again, I really like the potential of this series and the potential of Rock Ya-Sin going forward. So if you guys like this kind of episode or this kind of, film session, like mini film session type video, definitely leave a like on this video. You can leave a comment on Stampede Blue or even on this YouTube video and such. And, yeah, we're going to do a lot of these throughout the season, especially with Rock Ya-Sin. And, if you guys like this enough, we might do one for an offensive player, maybe a Paris Campbell type one or something like that, because I think he's going to have a huge season. Yeah, just let me know. Let me know in the comments. Let me know comments on Stampede Blue or anything like that. But yeah, I really like doing this kind of style here, and I really like looking at some Rocky Sin. So this series can be fun throughout the rest of the year, and I think he's going to be a good player for this team. I think he's already the best defensive back on the team and easily the cornerback one for this team right now. But I'll catch you guys next week with another episode of Rock Talk on next Friday.